What's doing, everybody? Today is Tuesday, September 3rd. Kamala Harris takes cringe to a whole new level. President Donald Trump honors the service members killed in the Afghan withdrawal debacle, while Kamala Harris attacks the Gold Star family members who mourn them. And Tim Walz is called out by his former service members, calling him a coward. He's also called out by his own brother. I'm Alec Lace. This is the Alec Lace Show.
The American family is under attack. Parents are the underdog of this nation. Your children are being indoctrinated. That's right. Your children. They do not belong to the state. They do not belong to the school system. They belong to you, the parents, as a blessing from God our Father. So let's preserve, protect, and fight for the American family together. You're listening to the Alec Lace Show. The future is family.
All right, here we go. Welcome, everybody, to the Alec Lace Show. I'm happy and honored, as always, to be here with you guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching the broadcast as it streams live on Rumble, please don't forget to follow the channel, hit the like button, and get involved in the live chat. If you are watching the program or listening to the program on the rebroadcast on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, please follow wherever you may be listening to and share the podcast with everybody in your network. I hope everybody enjoyed their Memorial Day. It feels like it was just Memorial Day. I hope everybody enjoyed their Labor Day weekend. We are done with August, and August was another banger here on the Alec Lace Show. I'll put up some of the guests that joined me here on the podcast in August. Gordon Chang, Maureen Bannon, Joel Pollack, Sean Farash, and Esty Palti, who did this really, really great debate that we did. They are the best impersonators that are out there. The debate that we did together really went viral. Sean Farash, Esty Palti, multi-talented people, and they were very good. Navy SEAL Eric Prince, Brandon Tatum, Terry Schilling, Chad Stewart, Ali Legg, Father Frank Pavone, and Laverne Spicer. So really just want to say thank you to all of the guests that joined me on the program here in August. All right, I did plan on starting September off today with Roger Stone. I apologize. Roger hit me up this morning. He had some car trouble. He had to push back his schedule. So unfortunately, Roger Stone will not be joining me here today. I'm trying to reschedule him right away to get him back here for Thursday. Roger Stone is somebody who's always been very gracious to me with his time. Every time I've asked Roger to join me, whether it be in person or on Zoom, he's always taken the time to do it. So I will reschedule him, and I apologize for not having him on the program today, but I do got a great show coming up your way here. This is crunch time here. We are in the home stretch, and we can see the finish line right now. We are barreling straight ahead towards it. And the political cycle moves so fast, it feels like it was a year ago now that Trump was shot. But it feels like it was a month ago since Kamala Harris was interviewed on CNN, which they said on CNN when she was interviewed. It was her first sit-down interview live on CNN, when really it wasn't. It was a pre-recorded tape interview that had terrible optics, and it was a 41-minute interview that they cut down to 18 minutes. So God only knows how bad she was in the minutes that they cut out, because the 18 that they showed us were horrific. But that seems like it was a long time ago. This past weekend here, obviously we had I keep saying Memorial Day. We had Labor Day. And just when you thought Kamala Harris couldn't be any more cringe than she is, we've seen time and time again, we know the hideous laugh. Again, Esty Palti was on here doing her impersonation. She absolutely nails it. It's just so much cringe from Kamala Harris, and she really, really took it to another level. I'm going to play this clip. She was in Detroit for Labor Day, talking to the union members. And there's a big difference when Kamala Harris is in a predominantly black city versus when she is not in a predominantly black city. And you can hear the difference. Now, I'm going to warn you right now, if you're listening to this in your car, pull over. Because if you're a normal person, you're probably going to throw up after you hear this. And just how how really, really cringe this was. Take a listen.
You better thank a union member for the 5-day work week. You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time.
Just outright embarrassing. I don't know who on her team is telling her to do this, or why they think that these are great optics to do, but it's pandering to the black community like you've never seen before. She only does this when she's in certain spots because, and here's a contrast. Listen here, I'm going to play them back to back. This is how she says 64 days when she's in Detroit versus how she says it when she's in Pittsburgh. Same line. Listen to the difference in the cadence. Take a listen.
Let's just get through the next 64 days. How about that? So, friends, 64 days until the most election of our line.
It's all for show. It's all a pander. She is as fake and phony as a $3 bill. You can't state it any more clear than that. She's a fraud, and there's no doubt about it. Now, obviously, they like to be the pro-union. Now, first of all, she says, thank you, union member. I am a union member, and I can tell you right now, I will not be voting for Kamala Harris because under the Harris-Biden administration, it has sucked for people like me that are in the working class. If you're a union member like I am and you're in this working class, you're a paycheck-to-paycheck guy, the last 4 years, you know it has sucked. When Trump was in there, it was better. These are things you can compare it to. We know just from grocery bills and gas alone, life was a lot better when Donald Trump was in office. Just those two things alone made life a lot easier for the working class stiff. Right? The guys like me, the union worker. I've been in a union for almost 25 years now. There is no way in the world that I would ever vote for this administration or this system. Because let's face it, that's what Kamala Harris is representing, is a system. And I would never, ever in a million years vote for it. And I can tell you right now, the majority of the union members that I work with will not be voting for Kamala Harris. This thing is all a show for her and for Joe Biden. Now, Joe Biden, here was him at this thing in the union, pandering to the union members as well. And man, I think his mental illness has slipped, or his, whatever you want to call it that he has, it's gotten far worse. Take a listen if you can understand anything that this guy says.
You can no longer be the manufacturing capital of the world. Where the hell is that written? We are the greatest manufacturing city, county in the world, state in the world, city in the world. We're going to remain that way. Eric Dean of the Iron Workers, Tim Driscoll of Bricklayers, April Bell of the SEIU, Lee Saunders of Ashman, and a great friend, where are you, Lee? And Jimmy Williams of the Painters Allied Trades and his dad. His dad is a really good man. Mike Coleman, a sheet metal worker.
And it just seems like he's getting worse. And I'm telling you, I still believe that the October surprise from the Democrats, they're going to push him out and make Kamala Harris the first woman of color, president of the United States. And they're going to glamorize that and try to ride that wave for one straight month until Election Day. It just seems like Joe Biden is slipping more and more. He was just on the beach for like 2 weeks straight. And here's how bad the left-wing media is. They even put a picture of him on the beach saying, this guy never stops. Look, he's taking a phone call while he's at the beach. Like, every single thing that they do, they make like a big deal. Oh, my God, Joe Biden took a phone call at the beach. He's never stops working. Meanwhile, you had American hostages getting killed by Hamas while Biden is sleeping at the wheel. And Kamala Harris is busy, trying to use her fake black vernacular all over the country. So here we go now. Here's one of the things, too. Here's what they put up about Labor Day, too. I thought this was kind of cute. Look, they put this thing up on Kamala Harris's Twitter page. Labor Day scheduled today. Vice President Harris with union workers in Detroit. Governor Walz with union workers in Milwaukee. Vice President Harris and President Biden with union workers in Pittsburgh. Trump golfing with a question mark. Biden just came off of 2 straight weeks on vacation, sitting his ass on the beach, and Kamala Harris just finally did her first ever sit-down interview since getting the nomination. And they're like, oh, what's Trump been doing? Golfing? Now, meanwhile, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, where were they over the weekend at the Abbey Memorial when they were memorializing and had the ceremony for those that were killed during the Afghan withdrawal? Joe Biden on the beach, nowhere to be found. But Labor Day, This is what matters more. Being at a union party on Labor Day is more important than being at the cemetery to mourn those on the anniversary of the biggest military loss during your administration. So it seems like they have their priorities skewed. But where are the priorities? Well, what has Kamala Harris promised your money to? Where did she promise your money to go? Well, she was with Al Sharpton, and she made promises with your money. Take a listen to what she promised.
But in the area of reparations for descendants of Africans enslaved. If you elected president, would you sign that bill if it came across your desk?
When I am elected president, I will sign that bill.
All right, you heard that. She's promising Al Sharpton to pass a bill for reparations, which would cripple and bankrupt the country, which is already bankrupt already. But it would put more taxes on you than you could have. It will tax you into the moon if they tried to come up with something like this reparations, which is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, but you constantly hear the pandering to the black community. Oh, we're going to give you reparations. They just did that, as a matter of fact, out in California. They dangled that carrot out in front of everybody in California. Oh, we're going to give you reparations. Gavin Newsom, oh, we're going to give reparations. Well, the Democrats in California just knocked down the bill because it's absolutely retarded to try to do something like this and break the back of the taxpayers who had nothing to do with slavery or anything else. Matter of fact, only 1.6% of Americans owned slaves at the height of the slavery in this country. 1.6%. That's the height. And they're going to make today's Americans pay for what happened 100 and something years ago, right? But the Democrats just knocked it down because it's ridiculous, like everybody knows. But what did they pass? Well, here, California Democrats pass a bill to give illegal immigrants $150,000 home loans that aren't going to be expected to be paid back. So this is why you're seeing so many black people in America dropping the Democrat Party and going with President Donald Trump. Because here it is again out in California. How many times does this have to happen to you where it's like, look, oh, we're going to give you reparations, vote for us. We're going to give you reparations, vote for us. They voted for you. And now you say, well, we can't do the reparations. But here, we're going to give all this money to illegal immigrants now. How many more times does that have to happen? Here's this other lunatic. I want to put this guy up on the board here. This guy, Manny Williams. He puts, every white and Asian company on earth owes black people 5% royalties forever. Every white and Asian company, okay? Every white and Asian owes black people 5% of their income forever. We created every major invention. And the reason why they live life is because we allow it. Reckoning is coming, and there will be no forgiveness. So listen to this lunatic, how he talks about reparations. Listen to how touched in the head these people are. Listen.
I was in charge of the reparations conversation. All black inventions returned to us permanently. Everything we invented is a permanent patent for Africans. And if you want to use it, you must pay us a percentage. The cell phone, we invented that. Internet, that's ours. Helicopter, that's ours. Self-lubricating engine, the microphone, the stop sign, the walkie-talkie. Why are those lights on right now? Because a black man named Lewis Latimer wrote a textbook that taught China, the UK, Canada, and America how to light up a whole city at night. Without Lewis Latimer, you don't get street lights at night. You don't get constant illumination anywhere in the world. So guess what? Anybody running lights, you paying black people. Take back ownership of our music. Take back ownership of our inventions. Next on the list is all the confiscated lands.
Listen to that lunatic logic, right? So in a sense then, too, I would be able... Now, first of all, none of those inventions are accredited to the black people. Maybe the stop sign there. But you couldn't have any of these other things he's talking about with people like Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell. But anyway, that's irrelevant to people that just want to ask for handouts and say, oh, we're owed everything. How stupid. My ancestry is German. And a German-American invented the suspension bridge. That was what built the Brooklyn Bridge. Should I say everyone who passes the Brooklyn Bridge owes me money now? What did you do? Why would you get? If anything, money would go to the person that invented the thing, not to the whole people that he was black. So every black person is going to benefit from what the guy invented. What these people are so stupid when you listen to them talk. And again, if we were talking about reparations for families, just for people that owned slaves, whose relatives owned slaves, Kamala Harris would be paying a fortune, and Donald Trump wouldn't be paying a nickel, because Kamala Harris has heritage of people in her family that owned slaves. Donald Trump does not. But it doesn't seem to matter to these people. It's about, oh, just give us more. Now, so far, the Democrats have done absolutely nothing for the black community but make false promises. And that's what it's all about. Now, Kamala Harris, you heard her promise Al Sharpton this. Kamala Harris believes in her heart that America is inherently a racist country. She doesn't think America is any good, right? She hates the country. There's no reason why you're the border czar and you allow hundreds of millions of people to come running into the country, right? Millions of people. So she hates the country. So now I'm going to tie this all in and then I'm going to bring Roger Stone in. But here's the thing. She hates the country and thinks it's inherently racist. Now, her and Biden were a no-show at this Abbey Gate. Instead of showing up, they attacked the Gold Star family members who were there and who invited both Biden, Harris, as well as invited President Donald Trump. Donald Trump showed up. They did not. So what do? They attack the Gold Star family members because they posed for pictures with President Donald Trump. They said, Kamala Harris puts this tweet out here, and I'm going to read a part of it. I'll put it up on the board, attacking the Gold Star family members and Donald Trump for politicizing this event. Now, she puts up, as vice president, I have had the privilege of visiting Arlington Cemetery several times. It's a solemn place, a place where we come together to honor American heroes who have made the ultimate sacrifice in service of this nation. Now, first of all, let me cut right there. If you hate the country and say it was never great, because they say, oh, when was America ever great? It was never great, right? They hate American history. They hate everything that America stands for, including the Constitution. They hate it. So here she is saying she's honoring the American heroes who made the ultimate sacrifice defending the country that she hates? How is that even possible? How do you rationalize that in your head? You don't think in your mind, if you ask Kamala Harris today, was America ever great? She would say no. Well, then why are you honoring the memory of people that died defending a country that you don't think was ever really great in the first place? How do those two things go together? They don't. All right, now she goes on. It is not a place for politics. And yet, as we reported this week, Donald Trump's team chose to film a video there, resulting in an altercation with his cemetery staff, which is nonsense. Now, the Gold Star, Donald Trump, obviously, the Gold Star family members love President Donald Trump, as most of all veterans do, okay? A far more majority of veterans in this country support Donald Trump than Democrats, okay? So they came out in defense of Donald Trump saying, no, we invited Trump there. We wanted pictures with Donald Trump. This was a day for us. It wasn't a day for Trump. It wasn't a day for Kamala Harris. It was a day for these Gold Star family members to honor their loved ones who died. But Kamala Harris decides to go to war with these people. So here they are, and I'll play a part of it here. Here they are. They all sent in video testimonies condemning and calling out Kamala Harris, and they really blasted her for this. And shame on her for doing this. Everything, and the number one question is, why weren't you there? Where were you? Why were you not there honoring these people that died on your watch? Nowhere to be found. Biden's on the beach. So, again, who's kidding who here? How do you honor a country and the people that died defending it when you think in your heart the country sucks and it's racist and it never was great to begin with? And so, and again, don't forget, too, Biden and Kamala Harris had one of these Gold Star family, the dad, the Gold Star father, arrested at the State of the Union for calling out Joe Biden for his failure in getting his son killed. And of course, the left, every time you ask them questions about this, whether it's Biden, Harris, or one of their lackeys, they always say, oh, well, it was Trump did this, Trump did that. That's the reason why Trump's not the person who was the last person in the room. It was Kamala Harris who was the last person in the room. Trump's not the person that left all of our equipment behind, billions and billions of dollars worth of equipment. He's not the one that did that. It was Biden and Harris. Trump's not the one that left our people behind, Americans behind. That was Kamala and Biden that did that. But they love to say, oh, Trump made this deal, Trump made that deal. Everything that they do, if it's bad and it happened on their watch, it's Trump's fault. If it's good and it happened on their watch, they're all their credit. That's the way it works. Anything good that happens, they get the credit for. Everything that went bad, it's Trump's fault. And if you haven't figured that out right now, you're never going to get it. All right, and Donald Trump turned a lot of heads with this one. He has supported now, thrown his support behind Amendment 3 in Florida, which is for the legalization of marijuana. So a lot of people kind of conflicted on this. I know this is a conflict between Ron DeSantis and him. But first, let me give you his statement that he put out on Truth Social. As everyone knows, I was and will be again the most respected law and order president in U.S. history. We will take back our streets by being tough and smart on violent and all other types of crime. In Florida, like so many other states that have already given their approval, personal amounts of marijuana will be legalized for adults with Amendment 3. Whether people like it or not, this will happen through the approval of the voters. So it should be done correctly. We need the state legislature to responsibly create laws that prohibit the use of it in public spaces so we do not smell marijuana everywhere like we do in many Democrat-run cities. At the same time, someone should not be a criminal in Florida when this is legal in so many other states. We do not need to ruin lives and waste taxpayer dollars arresting adults with personal amounts of it on them. And no one should be grieving a loved one because they died from fentanyl-laced marijuana. We will make America safe again. Now, some great points there by President Donald Trump. The number one being, obviously, the biggest benefit of this is that people can feel a lot safer, or 100% safer, buying weed legally from a vendor than they do buying it on the street or buying it in the projects or buying it from some shady character, that they don't have to worry about it being laced with fentanyl, which is killing so many people in America. So there is the regulation part to this, which is good. Now, it's hard to disagree that when you go to these Democrat-run cities, I know just from being over here in New York City, you smell marijuana everywhere you go. You cannot escape it. It's down in the subways. It's up on the streets. It's in the hallways of the buildings. When I travel, and I've been doing quite a bit of it lately, doing interviews and stuff like this, whenever I travel to a Democrat city that has the marijuana legalized, you can smell it in the hotel rooms, in the corridors. Everywhere you go, you can smell it. So yes, something has to be done about that. There's no question about it. Now, when it comes to the weed versus alcohol debate that I've always had, and I'll get to that in just a second, but here's one thing that I think Trump would go without saying, I think should be a part of this, is that marijuana should not be allowed to be advertised, right? It's one thing that we make it legal. It's another thing to start seeing commercials with Snoop Dogg smoking weed and telling you about this brand and that brand. I don't think we want to see that happening. I don't want to think you want to see people encouraging people to go and smoke it, although it's decriminalized or illegal now that you can smoke it. Same thing with cigarette ads. Cigarettes are legal. You can buy them. Many people are still dying from them, but you can still get them legally. But you do not see TV commercials. You don't see billboards at these sporting events for tobacco products, cigarettes, and whatever. Now, I believe in my heart that alcohol should be treated in that exact same way. I do not think we should be seeing alcohol commercials. I do not think we should be seeing alcohol billboards. Yes, it's legal. You can buy it, drink yourself silly. But to be promoting it, to be advertising it, I think is wrong. I don't think we should be doing that. I don't think we should be encouraging people to do it. One of the other things that's going to turn into a major catastrophe in this country is the gambling. All right. Now, just to give you, just to be straightforward and transparent here, I am a former gambling maniac. I'm a recovering alcoholic, addict, the whole shooting match. All right. Gambling is something that is being pushed onto the youth in this country, all through this fantasy football, FanDuel, DraftKings. They've made gambling on sports legal. Now, this is something where the NFL, it used to be a taboo. The NFL wanted to disassociate themselves with gambling in the worst way possible. They did not want to be known anywhere near or have anything to do with the gambling world. They wanted to disassociate themselves from it. Now, the NFL has embraced this and is now pushing it onto their viewers through their advertising. Their biggest advertisers are DraftKings. You can't watch a football game without a commercial for DraftKings now. It's overwhelming. And the broadcasters, they're talking about point spreads during the game. That used to be something like if you were a broadcaster and you mentioned a point spread, your career was over. You couldn't mention point spreads and gambling during a football game. Now they're actively promoting it, and it is going to end up being an epidemic in this country in a few years because the young kids in high school are now getting hooked on gambling, where before they had almost no access to it whatsoever. Right? Growing up, I was one of those kids. I had access to a bookmaker. I always placed bets on sports. I was a horse racing nut. I loved playing street numbers. I enjoyed all that stuff. I got addicted to it very early in my life because it was a big thing in my family as well. And so I got into it. But I had access to it. Most kids don't have access to be able to place a bet with a local bookmaker, right? Especially if you live in some area outside of, an urban area. Like if you're living in like the middle of Nebraska, you don't have no local bookmaker to go and take bets. Now, this has made access to everybody to be available to just on their phone bet everything that they want. And so and they have all these casino style games on these apps. So you got young kids that are now on there. Well, I know 21 or older, but you have young kids now that have access to get onto these slot machines, roulette. They're playing all these casino style games and it's right on their phone, the convenience of it. This is going to be an epidemic. But getting back to the weed, I think that there's number one, weed, in my book, and I've said this before on the show, is far better of the two evils than alcohol. If it was up to me, and I had to pick one, which I would rather my kids grow up like President Trump, where they don't drink, don't smoke, don't gamble, and don't do drugs, right? And it's funny because Elon Musk put up a post, not Elon Musk, Mark Cuban put up a post saying, parents, who would you rather your kids model your parenting after? Who would you rather your kids be like when they grow up? And overwhelmingly, the poll went for President Donald Trump. And why? Number one reason, I think, in my book, was because Donald Trump, he encourages his kids. Number one, they're all successful and very well spoken, and you don't see them in all kind of Hunter Biden situations. But he's always encouraged his kids not to drink, not to smoke, not to do drugs. And if you could do that as a parent and have your kids avoid that, the chances of their life going in the wrong direction greatly diminishes. If you can keep them off of that path, it is one of the biggest battles parents have in this country, is trying to keep their kids away from drugs and alcohol. And in my opinion, if I had to pick one of the two evils for my kids to do, I'd rather them never do anything. But if I had to pick, I'd much rather them smoke marijuana than drink alcohol. Alcohol leads to disasters all of the time. We have more people killed because of alcohol in this country than any other drug. It outweighs every other drug. More people are being killed because of alcohol-related deaths than any other drug. And I've never heard of an instance where people are like, and I can speak from my own experience, forget about people, right? Because I smoked a lot of weed, I drank a lot of alcohol, done a lot of other things. And I can point to certain times in my life that were turning points to say, damn, look at what alcohol did to my life here, right? Crushed my life in so many situations. And my family has suffered from it. My father died of alcoholism. My brother, it's wrecked my family. But my own personal journey, I can pinpoint certain parts in my life that were destroyed because of alcohol. I can't point to a spot in my life where I could say, oh, if only I didn't smoke weed that night. Those situations don't happen. And as a former cab driver, and someone who's driven a ton of Uber, I would 1,000% rather pick up a stoner than pick up a drunk, all right? Because usually you get the drunk in the car, it ends up being just a catastrophe. Or when you have the stoner in the car, it's a funny conversation, no harm, no threat, no violence, nothing, right? And so I know that the old school conservatives are going to be after Trump for this. Oh, now we're going to just legalize marijuana. Marijuana, to me, is one of the most harmless things. I know that they have medical studies about what it does to this, what it does to that. Again, if it comes to weed and alcohol, alcohol is 10,000 times worse than marijuana. That's me. And I would have that debate with anybody at any time. So what's your take on Trump legalizing marijuana? Leave it down there. Well, voting for Amendment 3 in Florida, I should say. He's not like he's waving a wand and legalizing marijuana. I don't want them to clip that and then put it out there. All right, so I wanted to move over to the border czar here, Kamala Harris, because what's happening, again, talk about an epidemic in this country. The illegal immigrants are running havoc, and here's one yesterday in Indiana. Illegal immigrant arrested after stabbing a teen girl at an Indiana baseball game. Now, here's what makes this story even more tragic. It's a 14-year-old girl who's attending her brother's baseball game. 26-year-old Gabriel Yanez from Honduras stabs her. Here's the thing that makes this disgusting. Yanez was deported in 2018 under President Donald Trump and comes back into the country under the Harris administration, under the border czar Kamala Harris's failed policies at the border. Here comes walking back in Gabriel Yanez. And what does that lead to? A 14-year-old girl's life being changed forever. She's stabbed. This is a violent act and something that is going to stick with this girl for the rest of her life. This is a traumatic experience for her and for her family now, has been changed forever. Does anybody care about this? Does the border czar care? These stories are a dime a dozen. But here's a young girl now, 14 years old, traumatized the rest of her life. This is going to affect her. And here's this guy that shouldn't have been here. This guy didn't need to be here. Trump had this guy deported. Kamala brings the guy back. Where else is this a problem? Well, New York City just put this up. 75% of their arrests for assault, robbery, and domestic violence are all illegal immigrants. 75% of the arrests in New York City. They are overwhelming the court systems with illegal immigrants in New York City. And they can't do nothing to them because they're a sanctuary city. So they can't get ICE involved. They can't deport these people. But they're tying up the whole court system. 75% of the cases are coming in are illegal immigrants. Some of these guys are coming in 5-6 times, and then they back out on the streets. This is what I'm saying. The border czar, they want to detach her so much from the border. This was on her. She was supposed to be the one handling this. And we see, of course, these Venezuelan gangs that they have out in Colorado. Everyone trying to be like, oh, you're making it a big deal about these illegal immigrants. They're murdering people, stabbing kids. And this is what makes me, it boggles my mind that you have serious people who would look you dead in the face. They'll look you dead in the eye and tell you that they're going to vote for Kamala Harris and they think that she could make the country better. You actually have people out there that are going to vote for this woman and believe in their mind that she's going to be good for the country because they're mesmerized by this mainstream media. Number one, you have the people that are just flooded with the Trump derangement syndrome that can't stop. They seethe and foam at the mouth at Donald Trump. They'd rather vote for Hitler himself than vote for Donald Trump. There's no question about that. But you have people that have been so stupefied by the mainstream media. These are the same people that during COVID-19 would wear a mask into a restaurant and then sit down at the table and take it off, and in their mind believe that act was making them safe, right? They would step on the little stupid freaking red dot and 6 feet apart. Oh, I'm safe here on this dot. If I move off the dot, I'm going to get sick and get COVID. These are people that'll believe anything you tell them, and they've told you that Trump bad, Kamala good, and so they're going to actually go into the voting booth and pull the trigger for Kamala Harris or pull the ballot box or whatever, stuff the ballot for Kamala Harris. I can't believe that we're going to see millions of people vote for this woman. She's dangerous, and she's a lunatic, and she offers nothing. She's going around right now on a joy tour. Oh, we're the strength of joy. Trump is going around on a policy tour. We're talking about the policies. Kamala Harris is offering nothing. Only hatred of Donald Trump and no clear vision of the future. Her motto now is a new way forward. What is the new way forward? It's the same thing. You've been here for 4 years. What new way? You're a bullshitter. But people are going to go for it. Oh, we're going to vote for her. I can't understand it. It's really shocking to me. And now, here we go, keeping it on the illegal immigrants. That's become an epidemic in the country. Are they going to be voting in this year's elections? Well, we've already seen where they've showed up on the voter rolls, or registered to vote. Speaker Johnson now has attached the SAVE Act to the upcoming spending bill for September. Now, Speaker Johnson is somebody I have little to no faith in. Now, the SAVE Act is to prevent non-citizens from voting in the federal elections. Amazing that we even have to say this because it's part of the Constitution that only citizens vote. But the SAVE Act is to protect this. Now, we want to see voter ID. The only reason, we've been down this road 1,000 times, the only reason you don't want voter ID is so you can cheat. There is zero other reason. You cannot name one other reason to not show voter ID to vote other than you want to cheat. Cut and dry. There's zero other reasons. Will Speaker Johnson stick to his guns here? Because the Democrats are going to knock this down. They don't care how it looks. They're going to knock it down and say voter ID is racist, and they're going to have a million different excuses for why they think it's okay for non-citizens to vote in the elections. When it comes back, will Speaker Johnson fold like a cheap suit the way he's been doing since he's become Speaker, or will he stick to his guns and say, no, we stick to the SAVE Act, or you don't get the spending bill at all? I have zero to little faith at all that Speaker Johnson will actually hold up to this and not forfeit the SAVE Act. What say you? Hit me with a comment down below. Do you have faith that Speaker Johnson is going to stick to his guns on the SAVE Act? I don't think I'm buying it. So what's your take on that down below there? And one other thing here, too, by the way, is that, we have the debate coming up next week, which is going to be insane to watch. I mean, it's going to be... Who knows what to expect during this thing? We know that Kamala Harris wants to have no cards, and she wants to have the mic unmuted, and she wants to be able to sit down, and she has all these demands. But more important than that, and how will this affect it, September 18th, Trump is set to be sentenced. He's tried to delay this. He's been denied. It looks like the sentencing is going to happen on September 18th. Now, in my opinion, would they have gone through everything they went through, arresting Trump, booking him, going through the trial, putting on the circus show, would they have gone through all this and dangled the carrot in front of the Democrats for years? It has been, we're going to get Trump. We're going to get Trump. Trump's going to be behind bars. They've dangled that carrot in front of the Democrats for years. They get to the point where they're right there at the doorstep. Are they going to just say, we'll just give him probation and a fine? I don't think so. I think Trump's going to jail. I don't think that they would have gotten all this way. I don't think they would have taken all this time and put all this effort and had this much success from their end, of course, because politically prosecuting your opponent is a success for the Democrats. I don't think they would have been able to get this far, and they know they'll never get another chance to stick him in jail. This is it. This is their opportunity. They either put him in jail now or it never happens. Are they going to take a chance on just saying, we'll just put him in probation and give him a fine, a slap on the wrist? I really don't think so. So I would rather see them, obviously delay the sentencing until after the election, which would make more sense. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to sentence him, and I think they're going to put him in jail. Now, you have people saying if they put Trump in jail, it locks up the election for him. He wins it automatically. I don't know if that's necessarily true because they're still going to cheat in the election no matter what happens here. Too big to rig. Hopefully, that's going to be enough. But they are going to be coming strong and hard at President Donald Trump. They've stopped at nothing. I mean, if you've watched the pattern of what has happened here, from impeaching him and then impeaching him again, trying to stick the Trump-Russia thing on him, COVID-19 was released onto the country here, changed the way that we vote. Everyone had to vote by ballot, mail-in ballot, and then all of a sudden he loses the election. Biden gets into office. And then all of a sudden, Trump is almost assassinated. He's booked. He's prosecuted. He's arrested. He's charged. He's convicted. I mean, come on. There's too many things here to show that they are after this guy. How would you think they're going to let this guy back into the White House? I don't know. But it just seems like so many different events. And again, you look at the election and people still say, and look at you with a straight face and say, yeah, Biden won that straight up. President Donald Trump did something that's never happened before in history. Every president that runs for re-election always lose votes. Even Barack Obama, the prized Democrat candidate, the successful candidate, he ran for president and won overwhelmingly, ran for re-election and did worse. He won but lost more votes, like most presidents who run for re-election do. What happened when President Donald Trump ran for re-election? 11 million more votes came in for Donald Trump. Historic, unheard of. And what happens? He loses out to a guy who never campaigned, who can't speak a straight sentence, who'd been in politics 50 years, never done anything, who was a failed candidate prior, and all of a sudden he's the most voted for, most popular president in the history of the country, gets 81 million votes, and then decides, you know what? I'm going to hang it up. I'm not even going to run for re-election. If you think that Donald Trump lost that election fair and square, you're an idiot. There's no way in the world that happens. A guy that runs for re-election gets 11 million more votes and loses to a guy who never campaigned. It's all a show. The whole thing is a show. And you got people that are actually going to vote for Kamala Harris, legitimately think in their minds when they go in there to vote, they think, oh, Kamala could be good for the country. Just like the same people who were telling you to wear a mask because they know better. You should put your mask on. This is what it does to people. They think, oh, Kamala will be good for the country. That same mentality of you should put a mask on. You're wrong, but they'll never know that they're wrong. They'll never truly understand why they're wrong. They've been hoodwinked and bamboozled by this corrupt mainstream media that's just one big, huge arm of this deep state, Marxist, communist, whatever you want to call it, globalist party. And we are in trouble. I mean, we are in trouble right now. Now, does the Harris debate, does this change the sentencing? If he absolutely buries Kamala Harris, does that weigh in on how they're going to decide to sentence him? I don't know. I think you're going to see Trump in jail. So that's my take on that one. Put your comment down there in the section below.
You're listening to the Alec Lake Show. The future is family.
Now, when it comes to this the debate that's coming up here between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, the interesting thing there is that the last time Donald Trump was in a presidential debate, the other candidate backed out of the race, quit the race, dropped his campaign, and is going to go into retirement. That's what happened the last time President Trump was in a presidential debate. The last time Kamala Harris was in a presidential debate, she lost so bad that she suspended her campaign, finishing dead last amongst everybody that was running in the race. Didn't even make it to the primary. Tulsi Gabbard finishes ahead of her. Right? So even Amy Klobuchar makes it to the primaries. Kamala Harris, done. The last time she was in, she was toasted by Tulsi Gabbard, and she ended up suspending her campaign shortly after she was in a presidential debate. So here we go now. And of course, she wants the microphones to be unmuted just so she can have that moment of, I'm speaking. Okay? I'm speaking. Obviously, I can't do it as good as Esty Palti does it, but she wants that moment. I'm speaking. Right, you're mansplaining to me. Oh, I'm speaking, Donald. That's the moment she wants. Without that optic, the whole debate's going to be a disaster for her because she has no idea what she's talking about. She talks in word salads only, and be curious to see if she brings that Detroit voice to the debate. But we'll have to keep it tuned in for that. And she, here's another thing with her campaign now. The Philadelphia Eagles had to actually put out a statement about this because they are these. I'll put them up next to me. There's these Kamala Harris ads going on in Philadelphia saying that the Philadelphia Eagles support Kamala Harris. So the Philadelphia Eagles put out a statement saying, we are aware of counterfeit political ads that are being circulated and are working with our advertising partner to have them removed. So who's responsible for this? Is it someone inside the Kamala Harris campaign that's responsible for this? There should be an answer to this, because what that could be considered is election interference. You are interfering with a federal election. Whoever is responsible for that, that's not a joke. That you're putting on, you number one, you're impersonating an NFL team that's a licensed team, and you're using a presidential candidate to try to sway people's minds with false influence. Right, with false engagement. This should be looked at and considered pretty serious for someone who's doing that. This isn't like putting up a meme on Twitter. You're putting up an actual advertisement at a bus stop, and you're putting them all around Philadelphia. There's a guy that went to prison for a meme where he was saying for Kamala Harris, call this number. For Hillary Clinton. Right, a guy put that up there. And it was the wrong number or whatever it was. It was a deceitful meme that he put. He went to jail for it. Somebody for doing this should be going to jail for it. But we'll see what happens. Because it's on their side, I'm sure it'll be fine. Now, Tim Walz, who has lied about being in combat when he wasn't, he has been being called out by his fellow service members. And Megyn Kelly sat down with 4 of them, and it was a brutal takedown of Tim Walz and his character and who he was as a service person who ran the minute he found out that they were going to have to be going to deploy for combat situation. Here are the guys that stuck it out, and here they are, Megyn Kelly.
Why did you come forward?
It is morally indefensible. He didn't care. It was all about him.
He's a military impersonator.
I don't understand how he could do it morally, or he's got absolutely no integrity.
The rumor went across the state that he had quit, and it was like Who the hell does that? I mean, it was just unbelievable that a CSM abandoned his troops, 500 soldiers basically, but beyond that, there's 1,000 parents out there that expect that person to lead those people into combat.
He's a habitual liar. He lies about everything. He lies about stuff that doesn't make sense. You're taking a piece of their thunder and you're trying to capture it and put it in a bottle for yourself and use that for your own benefit.
He basically said, I've got better things to do. Go pick somebody else to go on a mission. Well, if you sold out your guard unit and abandoned them, I mean, what are you going to do at the national level?
Fear is a reaction. Bravery is a decision. And Walz has made the wrong decision. He's not brave. I call him a coward because he is.
And I would imagine people that serve with you know you best. And so that's what they have to say about Tim Walz. We know that this guy, Tim Walz, is a shady character. He's a bullshitter. The guy he's one of the lowest creatures on earth when it comes to the way he treats babies, the way that they're allowed to be just murdered or left on the table after they botched abortion. We know that this guy is a dangerous guy, that this guy is an animal. We realize that. This guy is sinister. He truly is. And nobody would know who he is better than the people that serve with him. Well, maybe somebody that knows him a little better is his own brother. Well, his brother, Jeff Walz, now this was great reporting by Laura Loomer, who ended up breaking this story that went wild by the New York Post. Everybody else started to, after Laura Loomer uncovered this on Facebook. Jeff Walz, here's a couple of his posts on Facebook. Somebody puts, have a talk with your brother. He puts, haven't spoke to him in 8 years. I'm 100% opposed to all his ideology. My family wasn't given any notice that he was selected and denied security in the days after. Somebody asks him, help MAGA, get on stage with President Trump and endorse him, help save the country. Jeff Walz, Tim Walz's brother, says, I've thought hard about doing something like that. I'm torn between that and just keeping my family out of it. The stories I could tell, not the type of character you want making decisions about your future. Now, that's his own brother. Now, the left-wing media, the mainstream media, has done nothing with this story. Nothing. Despite the fact that when Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s sister came out and threw shade against him, they put her on a pedestal. Everybody wanted to speak with her. CNN, MSNBC, oh, Robert F. Kennedy's sister, the Kennedy name. Any family member that spoke out against Robert F. Kennedy Jr., they wanted to put on a pedestal. Look at what the family says about him. Here's Tim Walz's own brother, and they want nothing to do. Oh, that's not a story we need for this election. We'll just let that blow by. No interest. They're not even piqued their curiosity. Donald Trump's, that Mary Trump, she comes out as an anti-Trump. Oh, my God, Mary Trump said this. She said that. They put another one. But here's Tim Walz's brother who says, this isn't the kind of guy you want making decisions about your future. Number one, we already know that. The guy's a lunatic. But here's his brother telling you, there's what his service brothers had to say about him. All right, so this guy, he's not your kind of guy. All right, and Kamala Harris is a fraud and a phony, and we know it. From everything about this team is fake. So it's going to be curious to see how it all unravels. I'm pretty sure that we're definitely going to see Joe Biden step down and her step in before we get to the election day, which is creeping up on us here. So those are really all the stories that I had to hit you guys with. Let me know what you thought about today's podcast down below. Hit me with a comment. Hit the like button. If you're enjoying the content that I'm putting out, please follow the channel and share it with people in your network. That's all I can ask for. We are going to go through the sprint here. I'm going to be doing my best to get as many guests as I can from now until November. I've been giving it to you guys. I have over 150 guests have joined me here on the podcast. I'm going to do my best to keep that number going. Hit me with your suggestions. Leave something in the comments or in the live chat about somebody that you might want to hear or somebody you might want me to bring back to the podcast. I've been blessed to have guys like Roger Stone who have come back multiple times, right? Guys like Darren Beatty multiple times. Dean Cain multiple times. So hit me with somebody that you, Mike Lindell, I'm looking at a few of them here on the board. I'm going to try to reach out to a few of these people that I've had on the show. It's all hands on deck, like we know, until November 5th. So hit me with your suggestions and your comments down below. And again, thank you so much for all of your support. It really means a lot to me. Don't forget, follow me on X at Alec Lace for all the upcoming guest announcements. I'll make those announcements over there first. And I'll be back here Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will stream live on Rumble. As always, exclusively, I stream live on Rumble every Tuesday and Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then the show will get released, as it does, onto Apple and Spotify and YouTube and wherever all these other places are that you could pick it up. So, and wherever you're listening, please give me a good rating and like it, because these left-wing lunatics have destroyed my ratings. They go crazy over all of my stuff. This podcast and my other show, First Class Fatherhood, they've destroyed it. They've gone to Apple. If you look at my Apple ratings and my reviews, all in the toilet. Same thing with my book. They've made sure that they went, which I knew this was going to happen. Last year when I decided to come out and do this show, the Alec Lay Show, and get involved in the political atmosphere, I knew the attacks were going to be coming, and they have been coming hard and strong. So if you're enjoying the podcast, please help promote it. Like, rate, share, review, whatever you can do. All right, so that's all I got for you guys. God bless you parents out there. God bless you listeners. God bless you first responders, police, fire department. God bless our military, our veterans. God bless America. And I will catch you guys on Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right back here on Rumble. God bless.
You're listening to the Alec Lay Show. The future is family.
Promo code FATHERHOOD. Go to mypillow.com and everything we have on sale there. Actually, we brought in the percale sheets. The queen size, $34.98 a set. King size, $39.98 a set. That's unheard of. It's the lowest price in history. And everything else on there that we have, you can save up to 80%. We don't have any middlemen. We don't have box stores and stuff. They canceled on MyPillow. They even canceled my book to get my book out, you know. So use that promo code FATHERHOOD, everybody, and please help us out, and thanks for ones that you have already helped out. And by the way, you'll be helping yourself to the best sleep in history, period.
I got to tell you, that mattress topper is the best product I have in the house, Mike, no doubt.
And that turns any bed into the best bed in history. If you've got an old bed, new bed, doesn't matter. You put the mattress topper on there, and it changes everything. You need a different input to get a different output. People waking up every day going, maybe my bed will be better than night. No, you need a MyPillow mattress.